So let's talk about augmented reality, also known as spatial computing to us, but on a city scale. So before we dive in, I'm Naomi. I'm an innovation and R&D lead at Magic Leap. And this is Jasmine, our lead researcher. We're part of a group called Imagination Propulsion Lab, or IPL, a think tank inside the company. It's kind of like a spiritual combination between NASA JPL and Disney's Imagineering. Our mission is to envision what spatial computing could look like 5, 10 plus years into the future, which involve a lot of doing research and analysis, concept creation, and building prototypes and simulations. So, spatial computing for cities. What does that look like? It probably makes you think of some kind of Black Mirror episode where people are walking down these AR ad-filled streets, like every surface covered with content, UI pop-up notifications in your face all the time. That doesn't have to be our future, which is why we'd like to share some of the alternative, abundant futures we see when spatial computing is combined with other fields and applied on a city scale or globally. So I will hand this over to Jasmine. She'll introduce herself and kick this off.
Thanks, Naomi. So my background is in systems engineering and complex system design. I've worked the last 15 years in aerospace at Raytheon and automotive at Tesla. And so as part of my research for IPL, it really made sense to look at urban environments with a system of systems lens to not only help define the problems, but also create solutions that benefit everyone. So in my talk, I'm just going to go briefly over what is spatial computing, talk about the current state of smart cities, as well as how these two can be integrated together. And then I'll hand it back to Naomi, who will go through some really exciting visualizations and proofs that we've done. So what is spatial computing? It's a relatively new industry term, and essentially it's about having content live in a 3D environment. Our mission at Magic Leap is to harmonize people and the places with technology. And so as part of that, our first step and idea was that content should be able to live and be as a permanent and real part of our lives, just as anything in our physical space, and not just live trapped behind computer screens. And how this mission evolved into our technology? Well, by combining sensors, computer vision, AI, and algorithms, we're able to not only let content understand and see what you see, hear what you hear, and be where you are so that digital objects can understand what's a chair, what's a table, where's a wall, and interact with that. But also, you have this amazing opportunity to have more natural and intuitive user interfaces. So you can use your hand gestures, you can use voice, you can use where you're looking at or where your eye gaze is, and combinations thereof. So something as simple as put that there, while humans understand that intuitively, that would totally derail any electronic device. And having this contextual awareness enables these types of conversations. So spatial computing has been an evolution of these trends of dematerialization of communication and dematerialization of personal computing combining together. But where we see a really interesting and exciting potential is by the addition of 5G, the low latency it provides, as well as this increased bandwidth, which is up to 100 times faster than our current 4G. But also, by combining it with distributed computing like the edge and the cloud and connecting it with different IoT devices, we think that will enable and unlock experiences that are more engaging, dynamic, interactive, and dare I say magical than ever before. So the current state of smart cities, having a digital layer is not something new. This idea of combining the digital has been around for over 20 years. and it's met various success. While well-intentioned, the road to smart cities has been paved with the bodies of dead pilot projects, unfortunately. The first round has been more technology-driven, but it left cities really unsure where the benefits are, how to use it, how to maintain and support it, and integrate it in their existing infrastructure. The next phase, cities started to get a little more proactive in creating strategies and visions around their smart city initiatives, open data portals, so things were more collaborative, as well as hackathons. But this left cities with apps that still needed 5 or 6 more iterations to really be usable for the public, as well as like intersections where you have 3 sets of cameras all pointing at the same intersection because the fire department, police department, and cities all had different data governances and they really couldn't share any information. But now we're starting to see the evolution of cities taking a more collaborative and holistic approach to solving these pain points of the citizens. And so this is like one great example is the city of Vancouver and their 2050 greenest or 2020 greenest city plan. They actually engaged over 30,000 citizens to create projects like tool lending libraries, repair workshops, as well as like bike sharing. But think how much more powerful this could be if you could share any digital object and have a peer-to-peer trust. And also, what if you could have microtransactions to pay people that have genuinely contributed really valuable information instead of just giving a thumbs up or a smile emoji. The next thing cities started thinking about was a more holistic framework and defining what are the attributes that benefit the cities, whether it's these livability pillars that not only benefit the citizens and the tourists and the visitors, but also the different industry sectors that make up a city. And while some researchers looking into the urban ecosystem were a little bit pessimistic about the future, I really think that having a digital layer and allowing for digital interactivity and dynamic interactivity with the city can actually make cities more human-centric and showcase our shared humanity. So we think by having this digital layer and the digital and physical blend more seamlessly, it allows people to have cities that are tailored to them. It'll democratize space and locations, as well as be able to tap into the distributed collective intelligence that's located within the residents of that city. So how do you create a spatial computing destination? It starts with creating a really high-fidelity digital model or a digital twin of that space. And it not only includes the physical infrastructure, but also GIS data, mapping, IoT sensors, drone information, autonomous vehicles. And from there, having this rich data set, you can organize this functionally across the different city sectors or slice it per person. So you can have this really engaging, compelling view that's customized to the information you want to see. This also, from a couple of examples, a 60-year-old Hispanic grandmother can have a little extra time to cross the street thanks to a smart traffic light and get real-time translation of different street signs, to a first responder who can actually navigate through a building, understand where the exits are, and get where he's needed in a really seamless way. And of course, you have to take into consideration the roles and responsibilities within the city to control who has access to what information. I have a video here. So we call this spatial computing destination and the interplay between this dynamic content a magic verse, a spatial computing destination. And having this city as the platform layer, it actually allows for multi-user experiences. So many people can look and see the same object from their different perspectives, as well as we're designing it to be cross-platform compliant. So whatever digital device you're using, whether it's your phones or tablets or your AR, VR headset, you can still use that as a portal into this digital world. It always exists in those places permanently. So, also accessibility. Any technology you want to deploy in a city needs to consider accessibility because people the cities are comprised of different abilities and age ranges. At Magic Leap, we have some design guides around designing content for accessibility, as well as the fact that any of our products and services also have a focus on accessibility. So one of the most immediate benefits of having this digital layer is being able to search a place. Instead of having to scroll endlessly through multiple websites, you can actually look at digital objects and find the information that you need at its source. And not only that, you can actually interact with this digital layer by placing pins. So if you have a pothole, you can place a little tag, which will automatically create a 311 ticket, alert the city, and then you can see the status, or even +1 if you really want to see that pothole fixed. Or you can tag, like if you see a scooter that's fallen over or blocked a sidewalk, you can place a tag and alert and notify that company as well. So when we expand to the global scale, things really get exciting as more and more cities become 5G enabled and have this digital twin. I mean, you can now essentially go to these places via a digital avatar and do this essentially like digital tourism and increase commerce this way. So people can still interact and buy things while they're exploring the cities. But we also know that traveling and visiting new places is one of the most effective ways of dissolving a lot of cultural stereotypes. So this is like a real opportunity to explore our shared humanity at practically no cost. And of course, we see eventually